Hello, my fabulous fifth graders. Today, we are going to extend what we learned about dividing whole numbers by unit fractions. Today, we're going to learn about what happens when we divide a fractional piece by a whole number. Our I can statement today is I can divide unit fractions by whole numbers. The question that will guide our investigation today is how can we divide a unit fraction by a whole number? And again, we're going to use models to represent these situations. So we're going to use the model to find the quotient of 1/3 divided by 2. So here, this model represents 1. And I am going to divide it into sections that represent 1/3. And we are going to divide this 1/3 by 2. And each third gets divided by 2. Now, what fraction of the whole does each section represent? Well, our whole is no longer divided into 3 equal sections, but since those sections themselves have been divided, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, when we took our 1/3 size piece and split it into 2, our quotient is now 1/6. Let's try this with a word problem. Dario has 1/4 of a gallon of gasoline in a canister. He pours the gasoline equally into 5 containers. What fraction of a gallon of gasoline is in each container? First, I will draw what will represent 1. But we don't have 1 whole gallon of gasoline. We have 1/4 gallon of gasoline. And he takes this 1/4 gallon of gasoline and he splits it equally into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 containers. So we're looking for what fraction of a gallon, what fraction of our whole, is in each container. So we want to know how this fractional piece relates to the whole. To do that, we need to understand how many pieces our whole would be cut into. I see that we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So each container would have just 1 out of 20 equal pieces of a gallon of gasoline. There is 1/20 of a gallon of gasoline in each container. Here's another example. Elijah is sorting his music into playlists. 1/2 of his music is rock. He wants to make 3 separate rock playlists. If each playlist is the same size, what fraction of Elijah's music will be on one of the rock playlists? Since rock music represents half of his music collection, and he is dividing that half into 3 equally sized playlists, we're going to divide each section into 3 equal parts. How many equal sections are there now? Well, we've got 3 here and 3 here. Together that is 6. How many of the parts represent the fraction of music that is on just one of his playlists? One playlist. That would be 1/6. 1/2 divided by 3 is 1/6. Here's another example. We're asked to find the quotient of 1/3 divided by 3 using the model. And then we're going to use multiplication to check our answer. So here we have 1 whole, but we are going to look closely at 1/3 of that whole. We are going to divide that third itself by 3. When we do that, we would see that our whole is now in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 pieces. And one of those would represent 1/9. Let's use multiplication to check our answer. 1/9 times 3 would equal 3/9. When I simplify 3/9, I know that my numerator is a factor of my denominator, so I can divide both by 3. When I divide 3 by 3, I get 1, and 9 by 3, I get 1/3. So 1/9 times 3 is 1/3. Here are 2 more examples. 1/2 divided by 6. Here I would take my half and divide it by 6. How many pieces do we have now? Well, I know I've got 6 here and 6 here. 2 6s equal 12. One of these pieces represents 1/12. Now I can check my work with 1/12 times 6. Write my 6 over 1, and I get 6/12. When I simplify 6/12, dividing both my numerator and my denominator by 6, my simplest form is 1/2. So using multiplication helped me check my answer. Here I have a question that asks me to take 1/7 and divide it by 2. Each of these 1/7 size pieces will be divided by 2. How much is one of these pieces? What size is it as it relates to the whole? Well, I know I would have 2 here, and 2 here, 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2. 2 times 7 is 14. So one of these pieces would represent 1/14. Let's check our work with multiplication. 1/14 times 2 would give me 2/14. If I divide both the top and the bottom by 2, my simplest form is 1/7. Asher has 1/2 ton of mulch to spread equally into 8 square yards. How many tons of mulch will be spread into each square yard? I'm going to use a model. This will represent 1 ton of mulch. 1 ton. Asher has half of a ton, but he needs to spread that into 8 different yards. How many tons of mulch will be in each yard? Well, let's divide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's divide each half by 8. I know I have 8 here. I know I have 8 here. And this fractional piece will represent how much mulch goes in 1 yard. 8 plus 8 equals 16. Since I have 16 pieces in my hole, and 1 yard will get 1 of those pieces, my answer is 1/16. And that brings us to the end of today's lesson. Our lesson has been on dividing unit fractions by whole numbers. Our I can statement today is,
I can divide unit fractions by whole numbers.
go ahead and press pause now if you need more time to write this on your whisk. This is the S section of our whisk. I want you to do your very best to write and solve a real-world problem that can be represented by 1/2 divided by 3. Then explain the meaning of the quotient. This will be quite a challenge, but think about the word problems that we've used. And finally, this is the Q section of our video. Again, we've got 2 practice problems, but we are asked to use a model and then show that we've checked our answer with multiplication. When you finish with this, I'd like you to come up with a question of your own that represents what you learned in today's video. I look forward to seeing what you come up with in class tomorrow.